Oaks and Derby weekend are fast approaching, and I'm so excited about my next guest. He is a king from Queens, and you know him, you love him. I'm talking about Mike Repole. Mike, how are you doing?
Hey, Ren, how are you?
I'm doing well. I don't know about you, but I'm just so excited because this year in particular, I think the Oaks could be as exciting, if not more, than the Derby itself. What about you? Let's talk about Nest, huh?
Well, considering I probably have one of the co-favorites, yes, I do like the Oaks a lot more than the Derby this year. But, you know, I just always seem to find the wrong year to be in the Oaks. I was in the Oaks, I think it was 2013 with unlimited budget. And it was Princess of Silmar, Beholder, Midnight Lucky, Dreaming of Julia. And she came in third by 3 lengths. And she probably ran good enough to win like 3 out of 4 Oaks. And this Oaks looks like it's stacking up like, you know, with Echo Zulu and Secret Oath and Catherine O and Nest. It's, you know, I think 4 of these horses would be top 10 favorites in the Kentucky Derby. I mean, it's that strong this year.
Well, we even saw Secret Oath go for Derby points in the Arkansas Derby, and she had a bad start, and she made a gallant effort, hung on for a third there in the Arkansas Derby behind Cyberknife, and then Barbara Road in second. So, I mean, really nice filly there for D. Wayne Lucas. Hard not to root for those connections, right? And then, of course, Echo Zulu undefeated. But Ness, she should not be overlooked. And this is a filly that, with that pedigree, being by Curlin and out of an AP Indy mare, and that 4th dam, by the way, full sister to Majestic Prince, who was on track to be a Triple Crown winner. He won the Derby, he won the Preakness, but unfortunately the Belmont didn't go so well. But I mean, just an incredible pedigree, full sister to Idol.
Yeah, also, you know, it's interesting. We partnered up on Nest with Aaron Wellman and Brian Spearman at Eclipse and Michael House, and I took half the stake in the horse, and they took the other half. And we when we bought her, Idol was working really, really well with Asmussen, was still a maiden. And Ed Rosen, who's my pedigree guy, does a great job.
I love him.
Really looked into telling me like, well, this horse bought this, but he's 3 years old, but he's working good for Asmussen. We all know that Curlins are usually, 3-4-year-olds more than their 2-year-olds. We're probably thinking more Alabama than Oaks, probably when you buy her, but more distance and a little bit older. But I mean, when she won the Damoiselle at 2 years old, and she's out of Curlin, and she already won a mile and 1/8. I mean, she's a pretty special filly.
Oh, definitely. And it's got to be extra special to continue this ride with Todd Pletcher. I got to tell you, I watched the Hall of Fame induction and your introduction to him before he came up to get his jacket. I got to tell you, that was one of the best speeches, bar none, in anything that I have ever listened to. It hit every note. It had the sincerity, but it also had the levity, and that is so hard to pull off. How hard was it for you to put that speech together?
Well, I prepared about 5 minutes before I presented it. So, those are conversations, and Todd and Tracy are such great friends to me and Maria, and the one thing about being in this racing game, the friendship with Todd, and, I joke now that, we're such good friends, I couldn't fire him anyway. And, it's not a joke because it is the truth, but, it's just so special. And we just have a great relationship. And, when we talk one-on-one, we have a lot more in common. He's as competitive as me. He's as intense as me. Between me and Todd, we work 24 hours a day. He's up at 3:00. I sleep probably from 3 to 6. I mean, it's amazing. And we have a great friendship, great relationship. We both want to win. We root for each other. We root for our kids together. And it's really, really special. So, I didn't expect to be 3 times as long as him. But you know what? I think Todd was probably happier than anybody else because he doesn't like to speak as much as I do, and I had fun with it. But like you said, I did want to give people, when you think about what he's done, and you just really put it out there, it really is amazing. I mean, he's like I said, he's the Hall of Famer of Hall of Famers, and he's had an amazing career, and he's not one that's going to boast. And for some reason, everyone knows he's one of the greatest trainers, but I don't know. I just don't ever think anybody's ever put it down the way I just did. And it's amazing what he's accomplished.
Oh, it absolutely is. One of my favorite parts of your speech, actually, with Todd, was the joke that you made about how you no longer going to be able to clown on him, saying, "Why do I have to listen to you? It's not like you're in the Hall of Fame."
Yeah, that lasted an incredible 12, 13 years. And honestly, it came up innocently when I asked him one day, I said, will you be in the Hall of Fame? And this was early in our relationship. He was almost 10 years in. I was like, are you a Hall of Famer yet? And this was like, he's training for 11 years. And he's like, no, you gotta train for 25 years before you become a Hall of Famer. And I honestly thought it was one of the dumbest rules of all time, but once in a while it's horse racing. I guess you can expect that. And but it was funny. I always joke that he should train for 24 years and 364 days and just retire and see if we put him in the Hall of Fame. But listen, he's 54. As I joke, he looks 74, but he's got a long, long way to go. And he does this for 15 more years. He's going to shatter a lot more records than he already has.
Okay. Do you know, Todd actually did not know that he had a nickname other than the suit, other than the ones that we know about. He didn't know that he has a nickname being the Todd Father.
Yeah, I've seen that either written or maybe on Twitter, but yeah, I actually, I probably haven't told him about it because I actually like the nickname, and it's probably too respectful for me to call him that. So I have my own nicknames for him that I can't use right now, but I'll save them for another day when we lose a race or something like that.
Well, that one's my favorite also, just because you look at all the horses he's had go through that barn, and so many of them have gone on to be tremendous sires. And of course, we've got to talk about Uncle Mo, who is certainly one of those horses. What was that ride like for you? I know you had these incredible ups, and then right before the Derby, incredible down.
I'm sorry?
An incredible down right before the Derby there.
To have that much success so early in my horse racing career, I told my friends and family, with Uncle Mo and Stay Thirsty being in the same crop, I'm like, this is not normal. I made one of the things I said at the Eclipse Award when Uncle Mo wins 2-year-old champ. I said, I'm never going to own a horse better than Uncle Mo. Maybe I'll own a horse that will win more money, maybe win a bigger race. But as far as sheer brilliance, I'll never own a horse better than him. And the way he's turned out as a stallion, where he's going to change this breed for the next, 100 years, that statement was absolutely true. Of course, I won the Travers with Stay Thirsty, the Alabama with Stop Charging Maria, and the Classic with Vino Rosso. But I'll never own a horse as, when you see that brilliance and you see him just do what he does, looking back at it, I don't even look at the downs. I really look at it, and I'm one of the most blessed people to own probably one of the fastest horses in history. And, he's top 5 sire, and he's going to change the breed forever.
Well, I had to ask, going to the interview, I thought to myself, because obviously you've named many of your horses after family members. And so the logical question is, who's Uncle Mo? And then I looked in because I wanted to say to you, Mo must be so thrilled that he's such a stud. He's a breed shaper. My gosh, you really flattered him, right? And then, of course, I came to learn that it's Uncle Momentum. Can you explain the backstory with that name?
Just playing sports my whole life with friends or on teams. Sometimes if it's basketball, you're down 15 points, or baseball, you're down 4 runs. And then all of a sudden you get some momentum going, and you cut the lead in half, and all of a sudden you're feeling good and you're shooting better and hitting better. And we always used to say Uncle Mo's in the building, or Uncle Mo's here, and here comes Uncle Mo. So it was always just a term growing up that Uncle Mo is here, and with Uncle Mo, and your Uncle Mo's on our side. So one day I said, listen, I'd love to have a really, really good horse that was named Uncle Mo. And a lot of people, I love it where they name them Uncle something after their own uncles, or Aunt something. I've seen on some of the fillies, but just stuck. It's a simple name, and everybody calls him Mo. He's known as Mo, and there's Mo Donegal in the Derby, and Mo this, and I think it's just something. He's a legend, and I might not get in the Hall of Fame, but he needs to get in the Hall of Fame pretty soon. He's doing so great.
Well, I have to ask you, considering the fact that he has had all the success as a stud and now as a sire of sires, is there any small part of you that wishes that maybe you just named him Mike? You could have Mike Donegal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what? I thought about naming a horse Mo Mike, but trust me, nobody wants more of me. My wife, my daughter, my family, my friends. One Mike is enough, so no more Mike. Actually, that might be a good one. No more Mike. That might be.
No
good.
more Mike.
Yeah. So see, Ren, you just named the horse on TV right now.
That's what I do. I inspire people. But going back to the inspiration of Uncle Mo's name, yes, you mentioned Mo Donegal in the Kentucky Derby. I know that you don't have a Derby horse in for this year for the first Saturday of May, but how cool is it to, as we've just discussed, have these horses who are running under the Mike Repole influence through Uncle Mo?
Listen, it's, when I see a Mo Donegal or, when I saw Nyquist win the Derby the first time, Mo's crop, he had 3 in the Derby that year. Yeah. And I watched a Golden Pal, who's a 5.5 furlongs on turf. The brilliance of Uncle Mo, and when you think about other sires and they're great ones like Curlin and Into Mischief and Tappet and Uncle Mo, how many horses can get you a sprinter like Jopan? How many horses can get you a turf sprinter like Golden Pal? Yeah. And then how many horses can get you a 1.25 mile horse on the dirt like Nyquist or a grade 1 winner like Motown on the turf? This is a sire that does everything. He does everything. He sprints, distance, dirt, turf. They love the mud. This is a great sire. You never know what he's going to get you, but he's going to get you a good, fast, hard-trying horse that has a chance of being brilliant. So I own a great percentage of them with my partners at Coolmore. And, I used to make the joke every morning I would check on Uncle Mo and then go check on Maria, my wife. But Uncle Mo has been super special. And when I go to Kentucky, I'll stop by Coolmore. We'll go see him. Getting a little feisty as he gets older, but he's still Uncle Mo. He's got a presence that I've seen with very few horses in my life.
And I had no idea he's as big as he is in person because I had never seen him in person until last fall. Went over there to Coolmore Ashford. And you're right. He comes out and he just has that presence about him. And it's because he's so balanced that you don't realize how big he is until you're right there.
Yeah, it was, I'll always remember this. We're in the paddock of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and the 2-year-old colts are coming in. And it was 2010. I'll tell you, Uncle Mo came in. It was almost like who put the 3-year-old with these 2-year-olds. He just looked so much bigger than everybody in that race. He was just, I just saw him and I just said, I don't think it's possible for him to lose this race. He just had a presence about him. He looked like he was 3 and 4. It looked like he was playing against, he was a pro playing against high school kids. And he performed probably one of the biggest thrills I've ever had in my career, winning that in incredible fashion. And, I still have Trevor Demons call in my head, and it's pretty special.
Oh, I'm sure. Champion 2-year-old goes on to, you mentioned Nyquist, Sire, a Kentucky Derby champion who was a 2-year-old champion himself. And now going back to Mo Donegal, I know you had a horse in the race with Todd too, in the Wood Memorial. Were you there at Aqueduct that day?
I was there at Aqueduct, and listen, because it's Uncle Mo and it's Todd, usually, people say, do you always root for Uncle Mo? I'm like, well, 90% of the time I'm running against one of his sons or one of his daughters. So, no, I don't root against him. I root against him half the time. But this horse is special. I love that he's got the Mo name in front of it. So, I think that's great. And that Todd trains him. Listen, I think Uncle Mo would have been American Pharoah before American Pharoah. He could have got 1.25 miles. He could have got 1.5 miles. He was a special horse, and I think he's proved it. But by his brilliance at 2, he came back and won the Kelso with a 118 or 119 buyer.
That's ridiculous.
And it's he's a special horse, and he'll get another Derby winner, and he'll get another Oaks winner, and he'll get another 2-year-old champ. That's what he does.
Well, he's also, again, becoming a sires because there's another horse in the Kentucky Derby, or at least who's got the points to get in, because obviously we have to wait till the field has been drawn. We're always waiting to see who actually does end up in the gate. But on One Eye, he won the Rebel Stakes. He's by Laoban, who is a son of Uncle Mo.
Yeah, I mean,
we lost Lyle Ben,
yeah,
sadly.
I mean, very sad. I mean, I remember Loban, in the Jim Dandy, and what a beautiful big horse. And, he started off as a New York bred stallion, and he had his future. He had his future cut short, unfortunately. But with him and Nyquist and Outwork and Motown and Yopan coming and a bunch of others, Mo Donegal will be a stallion one day. He's gonna, that's the. I mean, Nyquist is amazing right now. I mean, he's just. I mean, I'm watching horses in the sale sell for over $1 million. But even Uncle Mo, I mean, just OBS the other day ran, $2.3 million. I mean,
did you go over there?
Yeah. Well, my money went over there. I bought a horse. I stayed here. So I got my team out there, and we bought a couple of horses. Jake West signed for them.
Nice.
Did a good job. And, but we, listen, it just to see an Uncle Mo sell for 2.3, I mean, gives me chills.
Since you do have these connections to a couple of potential Derby starters themselves, do you lean that way just from a rooting perspective, or we know that you love to play? So is it your handicapping expertise that's going to decide where you're actually going to go?
Well, no, unfortunately, like I said, I have this good friend that's a trainer. His name is Todd Pletcher. So, Usually I'm rooting for my own horses I've had 7 Derby horses with him, but I'm going to root for Charge It, Mo Donegal. And if he gets Pioneer or Medina in there, those are the horses that I'll root for because, I know how hard he works and how hard Tracy works. And they're a great team. And, I mean, he's got 2 Derby wins and, he's going to get 5 one day. I'm just hoping he gets one for me. I tell him always. And
how big is that party going to be if that happens?
That would be a lot of fun, but listen, I root for Todd, and and if I'm not rooting for Todd, if it's Johnny or Irad or Luis or a jockey that we use a lot, Jose, I'm happy when they win also. So when you're so close, it's funny. I love to handicap, but when you're so close to certain people in the game, you feel like you have to root for them. So it's like it takes the handicapping part out of it, So because you root for people and you root for friends and you root for people who've been good to you. So that's where my handicap's been lately. So
you've been so successful as an entrepreneur, all these different companies with which you've been involved. But to take it all the way back, did you have any idea as a kid? I mean, how did the Mike Repole story really start? I mean, you were going to the track at Aqueduct. That's how you became a fan of racing. But I mean, did you always have this big personality? Did you always have these big ambitions?
It's right. That's a great question. I mean, one of the mantras I live by is think big, dream bigger. So for me, I dreamt about winning the Triple Crown before I even dreamt about owning a horse. For me, I've talked about this day 35, 40 years ago. I mean, that it's come to fruition. I mean, sometimes I think part of it was my naiveness of saying I'm going to do this and putting 35 years of hard work and effort to make it happen. Many of my friends and family members, I mean, sometimes I think we're all naive because, well, Mike, you said that when you were 20. Everything you say at 20 doesn't happen at 30, 40, and 50, but I'm blessed. I'm not, I'm very blessed. And, one thing I always talk about, whether I talk to kids at colleges or people in their careers is, listen, put 80 hours a week into it, be passionate about something, love what you do, and it's not work, it's life. And you'll be, no matter what it is, you'll be super successful. And honestly, if I tell my daughter every day, what does daddy want you to be when you grow up? And if she was here right now, she would say happy. That's all I want. Because if you're happy, at the end of the day, what do you, other than health, what else do you need in life? And I'm enjoying it. I still want to win at the highest level.
Of course.
75 people out at the Oaks, and 74 of them will have an amazing time, win or lose. And then there's me. So and I got news for you. The other 74 people are just happy they're going. A win is a bonus. For me, it's more than that.
No, well, more than that. I mean, just going back to what you're talking about, just enjoying the races, though. As of this recording, because I don't know when this is actually going to be put out onto the web, so to speak. I'm just looking at your entries for Repole Stable. Today, you have a horse in a claiming race. Then you have a horse tomorrow in an allowance. And then on the next day, allowance optional claiming. And then you've got a horse in the $1 million Oaklawn handicap. I mean,
and dynamic one in the Lexington. So, listen, I love the sport. I'll claim a horse for $15,000 today and buy a horse at the sale for $700,000. For me, when those silks come across the line, obviously the grade ones pay the bills and develop stallions and broodmares. But for me, winning is winning. I mean, I'm competitive. I'm probably the most competitive person you'll meet. And I had a horse called Winaholic for a reason. I just love winning, and I love sharing success, and I love having fun, and that's why I go to Aqueduct, and Whit won the other day, an unbelievable race. I was halfway to the parking lot at the Bayshore. I thought he lost, and I think he only had the lead at 1 inch during the time of the race before and after the line. And it just happened to be when the line was there. So it was a great, great win. And
that was his first start back, right?
First start back. And, he probably needed a start. And, we'll partners with Vinny, and was a great friend in Gainesway. And, his next start will probably be the Woody Stevens, which is a great one on Belmont Day. And, he'll be tough in that spot, and he's doing great.
That's awesome. And I obviously love the name Wit by Practical Joke. So, and the names are just always so clever. And I'm still laughing about the No Mo Mike.
When he's racing one day, he'll say, "We named that together. We named
that horse together. Let's hope that's the Derby horse. Why not? That would be fun to have up on Churchill Downs, right? No Mo Mike."
I got this here. I probably other people will like the horse a lot more than I will. So they'll just like the name, and they'll agree to No More Mike.
Did your wife know about Stop Charging Maria before you actually got it through the Jockey Club, or was it an after the fact?
It's always after the fact. But I mean, I had Stop Shopping Maria, Stop Spending Maria. Yep. Unlimited Budget was named after Maria. Stop Charging Maria. And honestly, it backfired. I mean, the goal was, Maria, if I can't stop you from spending, I'm going to let the world know that you spend a lot. I don't care. And then what happened was, she says, well, now I got a reputation. I got to spend. So people know me as Stop Charging. So I got to buy. If I don't buy anything, I don't live up to my reputation. So it's totally backfired on me. She also, as we started to get into the bigger races, she would ask what the purse is. And when I told her the Alabama is $500,000, she thinks that's her spending money. So
great. I like that.
It's hurt me in many ways. Trust me.
Oh gosh. Well, something that might have hurt initially, or felt sort of like a loss in a way, was you did try to buy the Mets. Okay. Because obviously we know that you love all sports, not just horse racing. And so, you went in with A-Rod and J-Lo to try to buy the Mets, and maybe some other people, I don't know. But obviously it didn't go through. But now in retrospect, I'm thinking that you can breathe a sigh of relief, because A-Rod, J-Lo didn't work out. That could have been really messy.
A couple of things. One, I think I might be the only person that's still friends with Alex and Jennifer. Jennifer's great. She does something with me for Body Armor, my sport drink.
Nice.
And Alex lives in Florida, so him and Mark Laurie bought, and Mark Laurie owns Wonder Stable. So I'll see Mark at the races, and I'll see Alex. With the Timberwolves, they're having some great success, having a lot of fun. They're in the playoffs right now, and they haven't made the playoffs in a long time. So I love watching Alex and Mark have fun with that. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been great. And listen, if it wasn't for the experience, you even when you lose, you can learn something. So for me, you compete at the highest level. If you win, you win. And if you lose, what many people don't know is the learning experience you got is a win also.
I totally agree with that. And just on a side note, I got to say, I am still kind of happy to see Bennifer back together. I like Ben Affleck. He was a great Batman. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So. I actually this is a true story. I actually text Jennifer, and I congratulated her, and I said, listen, I just want to make sure this is okay with you. I got a text from Ben, and he wants me to be the best man. Are you okay with that? Or are you considering me to be your maid of honor? It was my exact text, and she laughed, obviously. And I don't think I'm going to get either one of those. So we'll see.
Oh my gosh. Well, you at least need to submit your reel from the Hall of Fame to do the toast, the wedding toast.
I would like to do that. Hopefully, maybe one day. So.
I think that would be amazing. And then just talking about these big names with which you roll, Portnoy, do you still own horses with him at all? I know you had one, Friday Beers.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, every time Portnoy bets any of my horses, they come in last. The only reason why Vino Rosso won the Classic was because he didn't bet it. And honestly, he says that Friday Beers was the slowest horse. It's because of him, because I win when I'm not with him. Listen, I think he's great for racing. I think he's crazy, by the way. And he's good for the sport. And he really enjoys. He loves Saratoga. I was just with him at Gulfstream recently, and
who has the better tan? Who has the better tan?
He tries so much harder. For me, it kind of comes easy. He tries really, really hard. So, but we have a lot of fun together. And
is it hard to take him to dinner?
You know what? Well,
the pizza. I mean, he's rating everything. No,
he's what?
Rating everything. The one bite.
No, I mean, listen. Last time we went to dinner was in New York. I mean, I can tell you right now. Every time I go to dinner, I've paid every time. He's never paid, so I want to make that very clear. But no, listen, when we just sit there, we really have good discussions. He's really brilliant. I mean, I can't believe I just said that because if he gets it, but he really is he's a crazy genius, and he's an incredibly creative person.
Well, you have been so incredibly creative, and just how you approach everything you do. To close us out, just tell me it's going to be such a big weekend for you. When do you get in with your entourage? And if you do win, do you already have an idea of how you're going to celebrate with the Oaks in Nest? And then how do you enjoy the Derby? Are you still going to maybe horn in and do a walkover with one of the horses?
You know what? I have a great assistant. Her name is Erin. I just hired someone who loves racing. Maybe you know her as my chief of staff, Andrea Rosen. So Andrea is great as my chief of staff, and we just hired Danielle Brugger to be an assistant racing manager. So honestly, they take care of so much. All the planning, all the fun. Everybody's engaged. I'm actually bringing the senior management team from my company Body Armor and their wives. This was planned a year ago. And we're going to have the co-favorite in the Oaks with Echo Zulu and Secret Oath and Catherine O. And I don't know. Listen, maybe it's meant for me to win this race with 75 people there, but, hotels are booked, party rooms are booked, restaurant buyouts are done. We bought out 2 restaurants.
Oh my gosh.
We're ready. I mean, I got to probably win the Oaks and the Derby, and I might break out even. But at the end of the day, you know what? Success is best when shared. And, listen, one thing, Ren, I'll tell you is watching sometimes the enjoyment that other people have through their eyes is better sometimes than watching it through your own eyes. So I really, really do enjoy this.
Well, I've enjoyed this immensely. This has been so much fun for me, and I hope it was fun for you. And this rates as one of the best interviews you've ever done.
Okay. Well, I hope that goes true for you too, by the way.
Oh, well, yes, absolutely. You know what? I'll give you one more question because I
will tell you that you interview so much better than Matt. I'm just being honest. It's not even. I mean, with Matt, I have to kind of come up with my own material and basically hand them the questions before I even give him the answer. So this is the first time I felt like I was interviewed with the Carothers versus doing both sides, the interviewing and the answering of the questions. So.
Oh my goodness. Well, I try to outshine him at every turn that I can, but you've been interviewed so much throughout your life now. I mean, and again, different aspects of it, whether it's the racing, the business side. Is there any question that you wish somebody would ask you that's just for whatever reason never come up? Something that you would love people to know about you that they still don't know?
Honestly, I'll tell you why it's a great question, because no one's ever asked me that. Listen, I think everybody knows me in every area that I get interviewed I'm very transparent. Some of the top media people want to send questions in between and ask what's on limits and what's off limits, I say absolutely not. So for me, I really would put more pressure back on the media. You guys always have the ability to ask me whatever you guys want, and I think many of you guys feel comfortable enough to do. But now I just listen. For me, it's I just enjoy having conversation and talking to people, and whether it's a one-on-one conversation or it's going to be on the Kentucky Derby with 10 million viewers. It's I'll take every interview the same way, just like a one-on-one conversation.
Well, we have just absolutely had a blast with this one. Mike Repole, again, a king from Queens. We appreciate you. And stay tuned for more for the 2022 Derby preview from ABR.